Hey everybody, it's Dwayne again. It's good to see you this week. It's good to see you every week. Well, it's good for you to see me. I don't technically see you, but I'm imagining what your faces look like out there in YouTube land or Rumble land or whatever video you are seeing this on. Anyway, I'm here tonight to try to get you back into this inventory. You've actually been working on that for the last month, I guess. You remember your 5 columns you've been working on, and we finished up last week with that column number 5, which was probably the most difficult column of all. We're going to start this week on what's called a spiritual inventory. And it's actually going to tie into your inventory sheet. So don't throw any of that away, okay? So you need a folder or you need a binder, to put this in. But you need those 5 sheets of paper for all 5 of those columns, so to speak, because I know you can't actually fit everything you have to write down in 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column, 5 columns. So that's why I had you break that up into 5 sheets, 1 sheet standing for each column. Well, this week we're going to be starting part 1 of spiritual inventory. This is lesson 10 for weeks 19 and 20, okay? We're halfway through this program. And this is actually going to be 8 more sheets, okay? 8 more sheets, not 8 columns, 8 sheets. But this week is going to be 4 of those sheets. Next week is going to be 4 more of those sheets, okay? So we're going to work on 4 different items that you're going to be writing on each one of those sheets. And some of this, and I'll show you where, but some of this you're going to actually tie into and add to your column 1 on your first sheet. Well, look, you're going to have to just ignore my dogs, okay? Because I've got my protector dog over here. He just heard my voice, and it's late tonight. I've kind of had a long week and kind of got behind on some things. I'm having to take this in. It's past 9 o'clock, so he just wasn't used to hearing my voice, and you can tell he's got a good voice, right? Anyway, I'm glad I wasn't real close when I snuck up to him. You ought to hear his growl. So anyway, we may have to put up with that until he figures out who I am a little bit. He'll probably slip over here in a few minutes, and one of my other dogs, it may be a continual process, but good old boy over there, Brindle, he will come check me out for sure, okay? So anyway, back to this spiritual 1 inventory. We're still on principle 4 and step 4, and again, these are an important principle, an important step for the entire inventory process. So we're going to be working on this for the entire inventory process. But if you remember, principle 4 says, openly examine and confess my faults to myself, to God, and to someone I trust. And the Bible verse to go with that is, happy are the pure in heart. And pure in heart, what we're talking about here is someone who is purifying or cleaning their heart. Is all that ugliness in there. We're going to look at it closer, and we're going to try to clean it up and heal some of that and purify ourselves. And we can only do that, obviously, with the help of God. And so he's our number 1 sponsor. Remember that lesson on sponsors. God's our number 1 sponsor. Step 4 says we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And that fearless thing, remember that dragon I was telling you about, that we don't want to look at, that we don't want to fight, that we don't want to address, that we don't want to even try to tame. We don't even want to recognize that he's in our basement, right? We're going to have to kind of reach out there and go meet that rascal and have a long discussion with him, okay? So we're going to do that, and we're going to tame that dragon so that we can improve our lives and better our lives. So the verse that goes with that is Lamentations 3:4. He says, let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. So basically examine our ways. It's part of the inventory process to growth, to healing. Well, first, let me do it in order. To start with healing, and then growth, and then, there's no ceiling to it here. So anyway, changes aren't easy, okay? Look, I've lost some of you. I knew I would, because this is a very difficult process. If you're watching this video, you may know me. You may not know me, But particularly, a stranger sometimes pointing something out, especially something that you're not ready to even look at or that you don't want to look at, you're running from, basically the dragon in your basement, so to speak. Sometimes it's easier just to, turn it away, turn it off, don't watch it, Can't say that I blame you in some ways, I mean, look, healing's not easy. Looking at some of these things is not easy. It's like you've got a wound, right? And someone's taking their finger and they're sticking it in that wound and they're twisting it around. And you don't want to do that. You'd rather drink yourself to death or chase women the rest of your life or, do drugs or go chase down whatever, chase this, go chase that, and, just do all kinds of things instead of dealing with that monster that's in your life that you don't want to deal with. And maybe it's more than one monster. Maybe it's 3. Maybe it's 4. I don't know. You don't even know because you may not be ready to look at it, But if you're ready, I'm here for you. And if you left me, a month or 2 ago because something I said got you mad, I hope you come back to me because I think there's some things that can change your life that I'm talking about. Number 1 thing is God. The number 2 thing is taking an honest look at some things in your life that are dragging you down. And, being able to pick yourself up and do some great things and heal your life. And so, look, I know the hardest thing to get over is denial. And look, here's the thing. Some of the things I've said, there's just no easy way to say it, because denial is something that, I can say something here and you can get mad at me, right? Or you can go on the rest of your life, keep doing the things you're doing, and pretend like they're not there. And not have any healing in your life, and continue hurting other people, continue hurting yourself. In other words, look, I'm gonna show you how to do it, okay? Because some people are probably justified getting off of here for various reasons. But I've always said if there's just 1 or 2 people listening, that's actually going to benefit from this, it's worth me being here, and devoting my time every week for the entire year. It's worth it just for 1 or 2 people, okay? Obviously, I would, prefer to have more, but it's worth my time just for 1 or 2 people. It's worth my time for 15 people. I know it's a process. Sometimes it takes a while for some of the things to sink in. I'm going to show you an example, okay? First of all, I'm fixing to lose my foot prop here. First of all, I know people have been watching this video of me for various reasons, okay? I know some of you are here for legitimate reasons because you want to get a relationship with God and you want to get some of these things or these wounds healed in your life, and you want to quit some of the things that you're doing legitimately, whether it's hurts from your past or whether it's a combination of hurts from your past that led you to maybe some kind of dependence on alcohol or drugs, or and there's a lot of different drugs. I mean, it's drugs, and sometimes women or men, depending on who you are. Sometimes that can be a drug to you. Gambling's a drug to some people. Some people spending money is a drug to them. They get a euphoria from it, and then they get depressed because they don't have any money. So they blow their money and they get high, and then they don't have any money and they get depressed. I mean, so many different things why people would benefit from this course here. Brendel, it's just me, boy. It's just me. Okay? Ooh, man, he's a puppy dog during the day, but at night. Anyway, I know people watch me for various reasons. Sometimes it's legit. Sometimes people just they know me and they're curious. And sometimes maybe it's just they want to see what I'm saying so they can go gossip. It really doesn't matter to me. I feel good about all of it, I'm at peace with all of it. But I want to share that, I'm human just like you are, okay? There was a situation a couple of years ago. I've been married twice, okay? And so there was a situation a couple of years ago where I said something on Facebook, and I've got people there that I have no clue who they are. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no clue. I mean, I've had people send me friend requests that because they heard of me or heard about me or something, and I don't know who they are. And I have a lot of friends, but there's also a lot of people that know me that I don't really know them. So I don't even remember what I said, but what I remember was it had something to do with women I've dated in the past after my first divorce and maybe even after my second divorce. And and they said, well, geez, it said, how many women have you dated? And I'm like, first thought was, who is this person? I don't know who this person is. And I said, one at a time. I mean, what am I going to say? It's a public post, my family reads my page and everything, so to speak, so one thing led to another, and she just kept pushing me. This woman kept pushing me, and she's, looking back now, she was being kind of like a mother hen, right? The older woman that was looking at me, and she was giving legitimate advice, and she said, I'll tell you what she said. She said, you need to make better choices. And it embarrassed me what she said. I mean, people were reading it, and so I had some words with her, and I got angry, and of course, I'm a pretty good little debater, and I got her back pretty good. And so anyway, I ended up deleting and blocking her, which is something that I maybe done once before in my life, okay? So this woman really got up under my skin. I was really genuinely angry at her, and I was angry at her for a couple of weeks. I'm like, who is this woman? Who is this woman that would say something like that to me, Who is this woman that would say something like that to me, embarrass me, like that? And it wasn't just embarrassment, though. And it took me a little while to figure out, she was right. And there's that old saying, the stuck dog, the hit dog screams the loudest, howls the loudest. Well, I was the one that was howling, okay? And so anyway, some of the people here, a few probably got upset because the denial is hard to get over, okay? It's hard to take advice from somebody else, especially a stranger. Now, if she would have been someone that I knew or had been friends with, and I kind of knew where she was coming from, I kind of mapped it out, I would kind of halfway expect it from her because I knew her, that would be one thing. But just someone that I didn't know, I didn't know where she was coming from. And that's the big thing, is I always look at people's motives, where they're coming from, and so forth. But regardless, what she said was true. I mean, what she said was true. And so, if I sit here and I say, well, you've been divorced twice, maybe you need to ask yourself why. Well, see, I'm talking to myself. So if I were to say something when I'm in that denial chapter, where I'm trying to get people out of denial, and if I were to say something like, Or you're going to go to that casino and you're going to spend all your money and you're going to not be able to pay your car payment this month, okay? And I would say that's something you need to look at, right? That's something you need to look at. You need to address that. And you might get mad at me. You might get angry at me because you're not ready to hear that yet, because you're still lying to yourself, so you're not ready to hear that. So if I tell myself, you've been married twice, you might want to think about that a little bit. If I know myself, and it may take me a while, it may take me a year or two, to really be able to talk to myself about that. But if I were to sit here on this camera here, and if I were to tell you, well, you've been married twice, or you've been married 3 times, or you've been married 4 times, or you've been married 5 times, and if I were to say, well, you might want to look at that, and it may be all 5 guys, they weren't exactly evil people, maybe they weren't quite the monsters you told everybody they were, you might get mad at me. But if I told you right now that I'm telling you that from a place of love, not from a place of judgment, from a place of love, that because I really want your next marriage, if you have one, because I really want it to be successful, and I want you to find joy, and I want you to find happiness. Now, if I were to tell it to you that way, would you listen to me? And if you had a gambling addiction, and if I were to tell you, look, I'm not judging you, brother, for what you're doing, I'm just telling you, you might have better relationships with your family, your wife, and you might be able to have a car to get to work and stuff where you can have a happier life if you learn how to address that situation. So I wanted to have this conversation just at the beginning of this class, just for that reason, just so I want you to know, if you're still here, that I love you, and that it's all about healing, It's not about judgment. I mean, don't project on me that I'm judging you, because I'm not, okay? I want healing and I want happiness for myself. I'm an extrovert. I care about people. I'm very empathetic about people, and I want the same thing for you. So if you're still in denial and you're still mad at me, that's one thing. If you come back to me, I hope if you have left because of that and you come back, I hope you hear this. And if you left me because you were trying to justify, and you say, well, I know that guy, he's a hypocrite, and so you're going to justify that you're leaving because of that, well, that's just the same as denial. That's just another way to get out of responsibility, right? Because ultimately the responsibility falls on you, It doesn't fall on me. And, I hear people talk about hypocrites all the time, and the funny thing is, there's not a single person in the world that's not a hypocrite. I mean, and it's usually used in the situation where someone's saying, well, he even mentioned the word Jesus, and I know for a fact he's a sinner, so therefore I'm going to disregard everything he says, and I'm going to throw it out the window, and I'm not going to pay attention to him. That has nothing to do with me, buddy. That has nothing to do with me. There's one person that's perfect, and he was crucified on the cross. And everybody that has Jesus come out of their mouth is a sinner. And you may not see their sin, but let me tell you, they got the dragons in their basement just like everybody else. They do. And, they can stand up there with a suit all day long and a tie, but there's something going on with them. You may never see it. You may never hear about it. But there is. I promise you. So, but it all comes back to the 2 guys that were praying that I keep bringing up again, that Jesus was talking about. One was in the wrong and one was in the right. And the one that was in the wrong was looking at the other person, and they were saying, God, thank you for me not being like that person. You could almost feel the pride in his voice, you know. And then there was the other guy over there that was on his knees that was basically ripping his shirt because he was so upset because he was such a sinner. And that guy was talking to God. And that's the guy that Jesus said was right with God. And so it's about shining the light on us. And I'm here not to judge you, but I'm here to teach you some things that I've learned that have improved my life and that I have seen improve other people's lives. And that's the only reason I'm here. You know, I care about people. You know, there's a certain amount of this is about healing myself to a degree. So there's a small bit of it that's selfish for that reason. But other than that, it's because I care about people. Because I see something that actually works. I have seen it work. And when I see something work, I'm kind of in that production mindset. Well, I say to myself, I said, well, that's pretty cool. That's something that works and isn't destructive. And so I want to participate in that. And that's why I'm here. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of let you know about that lady that she did. She pissed me off when she said what she did. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. But what it came back to was, you know, I was not ready to receive properly what she had to say, you know. So anyway, at this point you found a sponsor and you found an accountability partner because we're doing this inventory. Remember how important I said it is to have some friends, have a baseline, be in church, you know, have someone you can call and talk to. Because you're going to have to reach down there and touch some wounds that you haven't, you know, that you've been suppressing for a very, very long time so that you can heal them properly, so that you can move on with your life. And I said that the number one sponsor and accountability partner is going to be God and how important that is. And so, you know, the last couple of weeks before, we talked about those 5 columns or 5 sheets of paper for your regular inventory, you know, 1 item on each piece of paper or 1 item in each column. This spiritual inventory is going to tie into that, okay? You know, there's going to be, now I'll tell you when, there's going to be something here in this, during this process, during this lesson that you're going to actually put in your first column there on your, on that inventory that you did a week or 2 ago. Okay, so, and we talked about the importance of balancing the scales. You know, you may get into some very ugly things in your past that you've been hiding from for a long time. Some negative things you've done. You know, negative things you've done. I mean, you've done some positive things, but you've also done some negative things in your life. So we're going to talk about the negative, but we want to also balance that. We don't want you to like tilt off the scales. Remember that scale I had here for a couple of weeks? It's late tonight. I didn't get it out, but the importance was to keep things balanced. So, you know, write good things down. Be sure you do that now because you're a child of God and He loves you. And you don't want anybody getting depressed because they're looking at some of these ugly things they've done that are affecting their present. Okay, we're wanting to look at them in a proper way, bring them to the present, and then we're wanting to dispose of them properly so that we can have better times in the future. Okay, so anyway, Psalms 139:23 through 24 says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test my thoughts. Point out anything you find in me that makes you sad, and lead me along the path of everlasting life." Okay. So we're going to be talking about those good things, and we're going to be talking about the bad things, and we're going to be trying to keep a balance. You know, and that balance might we need to take a break from it, and you know, do some fun things. You know, as far as being around people, good people, so to speak, and again, back to our sponsor. You know, we need to be around some people that are a little bit a step above us. Okay, we don't need be around people that's going to drag us back to where we were before. We don't want someone that's going to take us back, okay? We want someone that's going to take us forward. So, you know, remember that. So anyway, the 3 different characters that everyone has, that's where we're at here. There's going to be 3 now. It's the one that we exhibit, That's the one that we show others. In other words, we may dress a certain way at home, but when we go out, we dress a certain other way, right? Sometimes when we get around people and get sociable. And then we show them a certain part of ourselves, and then there might be a certain other part of ourselves we might show somebody else. The second one is the one that we think we have, okay? That's who we think we are. And then the third one is the one that we truly have. In other words, that's the character that we truly have, and that's something that we're going to have to do an inventory and we'll have to think about and kind of learn ourselves a little bit more, okay? So, what we're going to be talking about is 4 areas. Over the next 2 weeks, well, actually, over the next month, we're going to be talking about 8 different areas of our character, okay, that we're going to be working on. The next 2 weeks is going to be 4 items. So instead of 4 columns, I want you in your notebook, I want you to get 4 sheets of paper for this lesson this week and for the lesson next week, okay? And I'm going to go over what they are this week, and then in the next lesson for next week, we're going to actually go into more detail on each one, okay? But go ahead and get your 4 sheets of paper out right now. I'm going to tell you what 4 things to write at the top of those pieces of paper before we end this lesson tonight. On your first sheet of paper, okay, write down the number 1, and then write down in big bold letters, our relationships with others. That's what you write on your first sheet of paper, okay? Our relationships with others. On the second sheet of paper, I want you to write a big number 2, and I want you to write down priorities in your life. Priorities in your life on your second sheet of paper. Now, on your third sheet of paper, at the very top, I want you to write down a letter 3, and I want you to write down your attitudes, okay? Your attitudes. And at the top of the fourth sheet of paper, I want you to write down your integrity. And that's all we're going to be working on this week and next week, are those 4 things. But you can kind of see where we're going with that, right? And so, you know, the intro to this lesson lasted a little bit longer than it probably should have. And that's why I'm fixing to close it out now, and we're going to start on those 4 sheets of paper next week, okay? But I had to talk about the denial stuff, and there's some things I had to talk about, because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Unlike that woman that blasted me on Facebook right in front of some of my peers, okay? For one thing, you're sitting at home, okay? So I'm not embarrassing you in front of everybody else. So that's a good thing, okay? I didn't just call you out in front of 10 of your classmates or something, you know. I'm not calling you out at all. But I wanted to talk about that, because I don't want you to think I'm some hard-nosed businessman that is basically has skin, you know, that thick, that shallow, that is trying to hurt you in any way whatsoever. Like that woman hurt me and made me angry, you know. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to hurt you in any way, because I'm not. I'm not trying to hurt you in any way. And I have seen great success with the people that took this course seriously, stayed with it, were humble about the things they had done, accepted them, addressed them, and changed their life, and changed the people they were hanging around, changed their surroundings, and literally changed their life. And when they changed their life, they changed their family's life. They changed their children's life. They changed their community's life, so to speak, to a small level. If more people did that, community could heal, you know, especially the ones that are in really bad shape. So that said, I just want you to know I'm praying for you. I pray that you stay with me. And I pray to God that I say what I need to say that's going to help you in some way. I pray before every lesson, okay? That I write these lessons down. I pray about them before I do it, and then as I sit down before I turn that camera on, I pray again. I say, Lord, if there's something in this thing I've written down, have me skim over it. If there's something I need to say that I didn't write down, have me say it. And God knows I add and I delete from what I write down, okay, as I'm videoing this. So anyway, I'm praying for you, and I hope you have a good week, and I hope you come back next week, and hope God is as good to you as He's been to me, and even better. And that comes from us, getting closer to Him, honestly. So anyway, have a good night, and I'll see you next week.